Good
Hi.
morning.
Good morning. Wait a minute, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Hold on.
Let's see.
Is it coming from your end?
There we go. I can hear you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good
Good
morning. How
morning.
are you?
I am blessed and highly favored. How are you?
Oh, 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 well, you gotta eat me in because I'll get to running if you let me. Uh,
Look, look here now. I done already been in the mode of worship this morning that don't even make sense. Don't get me started.
I have to tell you, first of all, welcome to One on One with Courtney Starks. I was excited to have you. And prior to looking you up and doing my research and everything, I was giving your song. And this is so crazy. Before I even got an opportunity to really dive in, I hear the song and I go, you know what? She loves the Lord. She loves the Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you this. When you are raised in the church, I don't care if you sing Mary Had a Little Lamb. That
Amen.
lamb is going to be sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost.
Yes,
And
sir.
there is something distinct in your voice that lets the world know I'm an R&B singer, but I love God.
Wow.
I love God, and I needed to tell you that because it was sitting on my heart the entire time. Like, oh my God, when I listen to Mariah with the period, this this voice is anointed. It's a difference.
Mm.
So I thank God for that, and I thank God for having you on the show. And let's get into it. You know what I mean? Let's talk about it.
Oh,
So I was told you're from Shreveport, Louisiana. I didn't even know
okay.
where that was on the map until, until they pointed me in the direction. So let's talk about growing up in Shreveport and singing since you were 5.
Since I was 5. You know what? It's amazing that you say that because you hear it, and I definitely was raised in the church and still am. Every Sunday, I'm still singing in the choir and the praise team.
Come on.
I take it that, if I'm living my dream, I'm doing everything that I want to do, the least I can do is take care of God's house.
Come
And so
on.
I've always been in that position since I was very, very young. And it's
Mm,
really funny. My mother is a minister of music here locally,
yeah.
um, in Shreveport. And I remember just watching her just drill choir after choir
Mm,
and raising a praise team after praise team. So it really did teach me a lot of discipline. It
yeah.
taught me that if you really want to go after something, you have to put 150% in it every day, even
Come
the day
on.
you are tired.
Mm,
And so that has really been something that has been instilled in me since I was very, very young. I
yeah.
would sit my mom and my grandmother down, and I would take out all the pots and pans out the kitchen. And baby, I would give concert after concert after concert. And I would tell them, I really didn't realize that I was prophesying over my life.
Come
But I
on.
told from a very young age, Mama Granny, I'm gonna be a singing doctor. I'm gonna be a
Mm,
singing pediatrician. And it is crazy how God formulates things because I'm
mm.
actually a registered nurse. I'm a
Won't
NICU
he
nurse.
do it? Won't he
Won't
do
he
it?
will? So it's just amazing how, out of the mouth of babes,
Mm,
it's crazy how, God has just built block after block after block and just given me a firm foundation. So now I can stand in front of people. I can stand in front of
mm.
you with a bold type of godly confidence. And yes, I
Yeah.
am in secular music, but it's music that people needs to listen to. It's music with a story
Yes.
behind it.
There's music
And I
with
say,
intention.
yes, with direct intention. And I want
Yeah.
people to be able to get their breakthrough from my music, even though it's listed as secular. I'm still
Hmm.
the Lord in my craft.
Yeah. So you once again, you're 5. You're banging on these pots and pans, and you're doing all this. You're prophesying over your life and what is to come. At what point in your life were you like, I can really do this? Like, this is what I want to do. Like, a lot of times we're caught in the maybes.
Mm.
Oh, come on.
Look,
we're
you
caught
had
in
to
the
run.
we're caught in the maybes of this life, and we don't say yes or no. We're playing the fence. So, at what
Yes.
point were you decided I'm going to give myself a chance on this?
I always said that I wanted to do it. And it's funny how people say things, but there's no intent behind it.
Come on.
I decided within myself that, this is the calling that God had placed on my life. And I can't run away from the calling, no matter how scary it is.
Yeah.
No matter how many adversaries are in my way, I have to press forward, because I never want to sit in front of the presence of the Lord and he says, you could have been.
Come
So
on.
I decided when I was in college, actually, I was pursuing my baccalaureate in nursing at the time at Northwestern. And
Yes.
I decided then I'm going to go forward. And you know what? There was so many growing pains with it. And it's so funny how I take care of patients that had gone through a pregnancy. That is a period of time where you have to wait for the gift to be birthed out. And I had to wait for the period in time when God knew and he told me, you're ready for this. Because sometimes you want to jump in front of God and you think that you can hurry God, and you really you can't do anything.
Come on. Outside of his alignment, right?
You have to wait. And so during that period of time, I studied my craft. I studied musicians before me. I studied the music. I studied the business behind the music, because there is so much that goes on behind the scenes of music.
Yes.
People just think, oh, you just put on makeup on, you put glitz and glamour. But there is a lot of stuff that is behind what you see that people don't know. Just like if you go out to the Atlantic and you see an iceberg, you might see the tip of it, but you don't know what's underneath.
Yes.
So I spent that time in preparation and a lot of prayer. And now I'm at a place in time where I know that the calling of God on my life is going into fruition. But I had to wait. There was a purpose behind the pause. And sometimes we don't realize the purpose. Sometimes we just so ready to go out there, we will self-destruct. And we don't even know. We could be the person in our own way. And so when I realized that I needed to wait on God and wait on his timing, that's when everything just started aligning itself. And it's amazing to see how this journey has just unfolded so far.
And speaking about journey, I love that you mentioned that you're a registered nurse.
Yes.
You're working in NICU. So how are you, or have been, able to do both? And I speak to this because a lot of us are doing that, right? Yes. We are working a full-time job, doing a 9 to 5, but we're also in our business. We're funding our business with what we are given. How have you been able to manage both in this same sector?
Oh, that is such a good question. And in the beginning, and there still are some periods of lots of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
But I feel so heavy that this is what I'm called to do. And in the same token, in this season, I'm also called to take care of my babies at this point. And I know that there'll come a time when I'm going to have to say goodbye to one.
Yeah.
Which would be my nursing, but it would always be a part of who I am in the fabric of my being, to help people and assist people. But there have been times, friend, where I did not sleep. I used to work nights. I worked nights in the NICU for maybe 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I would go 72 hours, 4 days without sleep.
Wow.
Because I was so dedicated to both crafts. I did not want to see the other crumble.
Right.
So I used to work 2s and 3s. So those in the healthcare world, you know what a 2 and 3 is. You work 2 days, you off 2 days, you work 3 days, you off 2 days. So some days, I would work a full weekend. I would come into work. I always come to work punctual. So we're called to be at work for 6:30. I would come in at 5:45.
Yeah.
I always did that nights. But before that, I was in the studio all day. All day. And then I would change clothes. I would put on my scrubs and I would take care of my babies all night. I'll take a 30-minute nap. I get up, I'll go back to the studio. And I would do that and I did it. And it was nothing but God's help and God's grace helped me through. Because there is no earthly way that we are able to sit there and just not sleep for days on end. But I did it.
Yeah.
And then I recently got married. So
congratulations.
Thank you. And so I switched over to day shift, which is a whole other set of responsibilities and different things like that I've been able to tack on into my life. but I have such a gracious boss that she has allowed me now to do self-schedule.
Oh, nice.
Plan my music around my nursing and
Yeah.
vice versa. So I've really been blessed to be able to just do both and put all my time, energy, love, and
Mhm.
attention into it. But you can't let the other, fail because
Right.
one is funding the other.
Right.
So,
I
I
love.
don't want to just, I don't want to just sit there and be like, oh, this is my job. I'm not going to treat it. No, that is a method in which God has blessed you to be able to fund where you're going.
Come
So
on.
I
Come
don't play no
on.
games behind my
And I
baby.
love
I don't play games with our music.
I love that you mentioned alignment. I think that's kind of like our word of the day today. Alignment, because
Yes.
even in the period of the waiting and preparation, one has to supplement the other.
Yes.
Both right now need each other to survive, type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I love that you are not rushing or stepping outside of the will. You're letting it take its time, and it's working. To be able to have to do all of these things and have this rough schedule to now be able to have your own way of doing things speaks to I'm doing what God is calling me to do. You
Yes.
know what I mean? So let's kind of talk about going into this, making music that's intentional, even though it's considered secular. What does the church say?
Ooh. you know, the church has my back.
Mm,
And it is so amazing because a lot of people find that the church has become a place of judgment.
yes.
And we forget that a church is a hospital. We are all coming there sick,
Mm,
one ailment or another.
yeah.
And some people get into that realm of, oh, well, she's not serving the Lord. But I
Mm,
haven't had that.
come
I
on.
truly haven't had that, but I think it's because I'm in the season
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in the alignment. When things start to go awry and
Yeah.
it's increasingly difficult, you know that that's not
Mm-hmm.
the will of God, because
Yeah.
anything in the will of God is easy.
Yes.
And so I have really been in a place where the church has really had my back.
Mm,
And I am so blessed to say that because I know that some people don't have that story.
yeah.
And so I'm just thankful that that is a part of my own.
Yeah. And I love that. I'm happy you answered that because that's the season that we're in sometime as well. But on the other end, where people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that because God isn't calling you." And it's like, well, unless you pick up the main line, don't tell me what
Right.
God didn't tell me to do. You know what I mean? So let's
Right.
talk about your music. You're
Mhm.
also a writer.
Yes.
And so when we think about intention, I love that you're able to write your own music because then you can keep it as your own and you're
Yes.
not singing things that people are telling you to do. Material Girl, I want to just kind of dive in. What was the inspiration behind that business and then getting to Maybe, which for me had me in my entire bag. As a guy, I was like, oh, you're right. You're right. I can't even argue with you about this. You're right. So let's start with Material Girl.
Oh, so God has given me the ability to be able to write from shared or what I call lived experiences. So
Mm,
everything that I have written is something that I've gone through.
yeah.
And hopefully in what I've gone through and me finding my own answer, the song itself will serve as an answer to someone who is currently going through that situation.
Mm.
So I was in a relationship like everybody else is and really trying to understand where I stood in the relationship.
Mm.
People fail to realize that material possessions can only make you happy for so long.
Come on.
And sometimes people take those material possessions and they use it as a cusp of, okay, well, let's sweep underneath the rug that I don't give you attention.
Yes.
Let's sweep that underneath the rug that I don't give you time. Let's sweep that
Mm.
underneath the rug that my love is not genuine. We tend to just be like, oh well, he got me a ring, girl. He got me this, he got me that,
Mm.
or she did this for me.
Yeah.
But are you still whole yourself?
Mm.
Are you broken? Are you leaving the relationship or coming to that relationship more, putting more into it than you should?
Right.
And so as I'm writing this song, I was in that place. I was like, well, everybody was like, he gives you flowers, he gives you all this. But I was not filled with a sense of love. I wasn't
Mm.
filled with a sense of purpose in the relationship. So I really felt more empty than what I should have been. So when I realized, and going into verse 2, when it talks about loyalty, time, love, patience,
things you can't buy.
You can't buy these things. You can't go into a mall. You can't go to Amazon. You can't buy any of these things. All of these things have to be intentional.
Yes.
And so once I realized within myself that this is what I didn't need, I decided within the song itself that I needed to be away from that. And so that's how it bleeds over into business.
Yeah.
Business is a standpoint of, I know who I am now.
Come on.
I know what I bring to the table. I know that I'm a queen. And yes, I sat there and I let my own crown fall, but now I've fixed it to myself to where it's not going to fall again.
Yes.
So that's where businesses come into play. And it's really taking care of business. You're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe comes into play because we have gotten into such a comfortability in being in the gray space. Whew. Being in the gray space is meaning that I don't know who you are. I don't know who I am. We like each other.
Yeah.
It's cool. But we don't really know where we're going to go. There's no realm of transparency. There's no realm of solidified. I'm not solidified in who I am. So sometimes we are scared of the yes. We're scared of the no. But I wanted to come into a place where we have to come out of that.
Yes.
And this is not a song in which it's like, oh, I'm trying to be in a relationship. It's really a mode of, I'm good.
Where I'm at.
We continue or we don't. I'm strong either way it goes. I was already whole when I came into the relationship. So I'm not gonna, you don't complete me. I just want to know what I am.
Right.
And so that's really in the realm of what I've gone into with maybe is that I just want to be transparent. I just want to be that type of person that knows.
Yes.
Know where we need to go.
Yeah, and I think that's what probably resonated with me so much is that most music right now, you see this broken woman who is crying out and they're in need of something from someone. And as I was watching the video to maybe, and the text message scene was it for me. When it again, stop being so sad, and he was like, "Girl, I'm on my way." Like at the end of the day, I complete me. You're just an addition. Like this, so we're really, really clear. And I love that. Maybe it's for me. It's so intentional, not just with, like you said, with relationships, but life. Right? Yes. Like living in the gray area can only last but so long. So kind of going back to what you were saying about at some point in time, I'm gonna have to leave my babies, but everything right now is building blocks to get to where I am, right, or where I need to go. You know what I mean? I feel like in life, and even with COVID, we are at a standstill because we're scared, right? Yes, it may cause me sacrifice. Am I ready for that? If I say no, then I'll regret that decision. But if I say maybe, then I'm playing both worlds. And in reality, who has time for that?
Not one soul.
You know what I mean? So when you look back at your growth and progression over time with your music, what are some things that you can say you've learned so far?
I learned who I was. There is such an amazing journey in being strong and steadfast in who you are. And that's how it goes back into my own name. Mariah with a period. Before then, when I was in my infancy stage.
Yes.
And with every journey, there's an infancy stage. And sometimes you're scared of, can I become what God sees me as I am? Can I really do this?
Right.
And for the longest time, I was actually scared of my own name.
No way.
My mother, yes, I was. I was named after my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother was named Mariah, and she was born in 1906. And although I was never able to meet her, it is amazing how her spirit and who she was, the essence of who
lives through
in the generations to come. When I first started music, I had called myself Mimi Donye. And
Mm.
that's what people affectionately call me. That's my nickname, Mimi.
Yeah.
Ye is my middle name.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I grew into who I was and realized, oh, this is some things that I like. Oh, I like to be in the realm of acoustic. Oh, I like this about myself. These are my strong suits. I
Yeah.
kind of delve into being just Don Ye.
Mm.
And I dropped that, and it's crazy because every name is bigger and bigger and bigger than it was
Yeah.
before, but it really matches the season that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the realm of Danye, and I was
Yeah.
giving it to the people. I was there. And then there was a point in time where God said, it's time.
Mm.
You need to change your name. Your name needs to be with where you are going. And
Yeah.
Mariah is a powerful, powerful name. It was given to you from the lineage of your own family.
Yes.
And what better way to honor that than being broadcasted as that?
Come on.
And so now I'm Mariah and I'm
Yeah.
me. And it's a statement. The period at the end of any sentence serves as a solidified statement.
Right.
So
Yes.
Mariah is the end and it is the beginning of that statement. It is all in one. So I'm just so thankful that I have just been in a realm of getting to know me.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. And knowing yourself and where you are and where you stand, let's talk about stance on R&B music today, right? I know it's been a bit controversial with R&B is dead, and there aren't singers out here who are giving us intentional music. And I totally disagree. I just feel like we are limited to those who we see every day. Meanwhile, R&B is so wide. What do you say to that?
You know what? I'm not trying to get all churchy on you, but the Bible talks about seek and ye shall find.
Come on, I'm about to run.
Look, the internet is so vast to where everything is at your fingertips. And there are so many amazing artists out there that serve the same God that I do, that have the same purpose of intent, and they're there. Sometimes you just have to dig a little deeper. You have to find it. And that's what I love so much about independent music. I love indie music. I've kind of gone into that. We're just finding different artists because yes, sometimes it's hard to find, but there is so many diamonds that are in the rough. There's so many diamonds. The more and more you dig is there. So I really do not believe that R&B is dead. I don't believe it at all. It's just a method of finding them.
Yes. And like you said, digging deep. This surface level stuff has to stop. That's once again living in the maybe. Maybe I'll find it, maybe I won't. Yes or no? Yes. Simple as that. You know what I mean? Right. You have partnered with St. Jude. And everything that I feel like I've read about you and that you've done has been so centered together. They pieced themselves together. What inspired you to want to partner with them?
You know what, diving back into my medical career, dealing with babies and taking care of children, chronic premature babies, all the way to the stable, unstable type of babies. I'm talking about months on end. Yeah. And it's amazing to see how resilient children are. There is such an just unmerited strength in what a child holds. Yeah. I mean, they can be going through the biggest of storms, but it is amazing to see that they still find a way to smile.
Yes.
So it was just a no-brainer to me to be able to partner with someone who believes in taking care of children, who believes in finding a cure for something that has devastated so many lives. And I knew that going back to intention and going back into timing. It's amazing how my medicine and my music combine into that one area in which I can really take a stand for those. So anything that I could have done to help me, I was going to be aboard. So just that opportunity finding me was something that I will never take for granted.
Oh man, that is so heartwarming. And I love that. I think a lot of times people don't realize that both can coexist. We're not living in a world where you need to separate or become something else. both can coexist if you're in alignment, if you're working with timing, if you're inside of the will. And I think, there's so many people wanting to branch off and become versions of themselves that they were not created to be. And then they wonder why they're struggling in this thing called life, because you're operating outside of something bigger than yourself. You know what I mean? If you were not doing music, you were not nursing, what would you be doing?
You know what? I love performing arts. I
Mm,
love art in general. I actually got that from my grandfather.
yeah.
His name was Charles Elliott Lovelace.
These are some
And
powerful names. Come
like,
on.
look, it's such a, I'm like, come on, name. Like, I love the name. But he did arts and he was an art teacher here in Shreveport for years and years
Mm,
until he got promoted into glory.
yeah.
But it's so amazing. I have taken that on and I've always loved to paint. I've always loved to draw. I've always loved to do things with like mixed mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was very young, I would do a lot of pottery. I would sell those things. Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody had braces at one point. Look, I would make a bag at the orthodontist.
Come on.
I
Come
would bring
on.
all my little trinkets that I made, and and pins that you can put on like lapels or
Mm-hmm.
different things, and I would sell out every time. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm making waves at such a
Mm,
young age. But I would definitely be doing that. Anything with art, performing arts, I just live and breathe it.
yeah. Yeah. I love that. And like it seems as though just talking to you right now that you've had such a major support system. People just kind of loving on you, supporting you, being that foundation that you needed. So in this moment, if you could thank one person for being there for you through this entire time, who would it be and what would you say to them?
That would be my mom.
Mm,
My mom is my manager.
yeah.
She is my best friend. She is my vocal coach. She is my headache.
Mm,
Is everything wrapped into one.
come on.
And if there's anything that I can say, and it's funny that I am saying this because she's literally right there, so she's hearing everything.
Hi, Mom. How you doing, Mom?
But if there's anything that I could say as she hears it, it would be thank you. Because there is a lot of things that you don't have to do.
Yeah.
But you do it because you see what can happen and you see what God is doing in me. And you have always been someone who has pushed me, and you have always been someone that I could stand on your shoulders.
Yeah.
I can be, you can be that shoulder that I need when I cry, when I need to get through something. And she is definitely my voice of reason.
Come on.
You always need to have wise counsel in anything that you do, whether it's music, teaching, police work, anything. You need to have wise counsel, and
I agree.
that's what she has been for me.
I agree. And what piece of advice would you give to those who are watching you rise and do so many great things and they want to be like Mariah with a period? What would you tell these people?
I would say, and I say this all the time, never settle for less because you were created for more.
Come on.
It's so easy sometimes to try to fall into fads.
Yeah.
And some things that you know that you're not, because you see numbers,
Mm-hmm.
accolades, you see attention. But the thing that God put in you is what's going to be your moneymaker.
Come on.
We forget that fads come and go. But if you have the Lord by your side, you have alignment and you have timing. Everything is going to come to pass and it will never fizzle out.
Come on. The power of authenticity. Come on. Come on. Oh, I don't want this to end, but I know we gotta end. What do you have coming up that we can support, and how can people find you?
You know what? You can follow me on my Instagram at I am Mariah Official. You can also follow me on all my other social medias at Mariah Hester. Look, I have so many things that is coming down the turnpike. All I can tell you, best is yet to come. But if you follow me on my social media, I will keep you up to date on everything that is pertaining to Mariah.
Mariah, thank you so much for being here. I hope you had a great time. We enjoyed having you on this side of town. And like I always say, once you're on the show, you are part of the family. and you are always welcome back anytime. I look forward to having you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, this is Mariah with the period. Please make sure you are following her because I said so. We love you for watching. Have a good morning.